Good evening. We are studying chapter 21 of Peter Stern's. We got gunpowder empires as our topic. So I just went to Google and here's the Wikipedia page. Gunpowder empires, a term used to describe the Islamic, Ottoman, Safavid, and Mughal empires. So you see, there's your definition of gunpowder empires. We are going to go down here. We'll hit some Google images. Go to the first one, I guess. That makes sense. You will see that the Ottomans sat here, and we got the Safavid, Persians, the Mughals, northern India. We're going to focus a lot on the Mughals and the Ottomans in class and online with some videos as well. I think the geography does matter because the Ottomans, they're the great traders. I mean, connecting Europe to Asia, the Mediterranean to the Indian Ocean, eventually conquering Constantinople there, renaming it Istanbul. So we have the economic dynamic Ottoman hub here, where we have the ever so challenging Mughal Empire, challenging in the sense that it is trying to conquer a region that is not a majority Islamic. What other visuals do we have? We got some more maps. Yeah, lots of maps. All right. So, the gunpowder empires. Today's focus is going to be on my presentation of the Mughals. And the Mughal Empire, boom, shakalaka like ding dong, there it is, the Taj Mahal. Not surprised that it's the first slide. Just a brief introduction. Now you're going to see these links up, and that's because in class or at home you can watch clips of the warrior empire to learn more about how the Mughals used weaponry to their advantage, including putting armor on elephants, which is pretty cool. Here's my brief introduction. The Mughals invaded and then built upon diversity in India, so they had to conquer and control but also deal with the fact that they were not going to create an Islamic world in Hindu India. Richest and longest lasting Muslim dynasty. There are other Islamic dynasties. We're not going to be focusing on them because they're not as centralized, thus not very easy to speak about. It lasts, what is that, about 300 and some years, but its best high water mark is about 200 years. So Babar, the first of the Mughals, he claims to be a direct descendant of the Genghis Khan and Timur the Lane. Being a descendant of them, he's a descendant of the Mongols. He is able to conquer using the composite bow. He's able to conquer Ibrahim Lodi at the Battle of Panipat. Ibrahim Lodi is one of the many different leaders within the region of Delhi. His Delhi Sultanate, which is a Sunni kingdom in the northern part of South Asia. When he conquers and defeats Ibrahim Lodi, he's able to then pass upon to his descendants what will be the Mughal dynasty. Now, though he was a great conqueror, eventually making Agra a capital of what will eventually be a Mughal dynasty, he's not well known for being an organizer, a lawgiver, because he's going to pass away pretty quickly once control is gained. So the question is, Babur creates the Mughal dynasty, but what will his children and his children's children do to run the Mughal dynasty? Remember, we have to look at the Mughals in terms of SPICE. So here is, I'm going to talk about this map for a little while. From the era of Babur conquering, there you see, Battle of Panipat, conquering the Delhi Sultanate, creating the capital of Agra. Eventually, children of going down to Akbar and Aurangzeb are going to go all the way down. This is a massive undertaking to control the region we call Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Here's Bangladesh. The Deccan Plateau is right here, and it's really what saves this region from a long-lasting control from Mongol conquering rule. I'm going to keep this up just for a second so you can really just take a look at it. This term here, Rajput, that is a bunch of many kingdoms, if you will, many Rajas, the Rajput Confederacy, that rise and fall and are often having to be dealt with by the Mughals in order to keep power solidified. All right, so Akbar the Great. He's going to be an emperor at age 13. He's going to be emperor quite young and quite quickly. He was an ambitious individual who is going to be a conqueror and a builder, building the largest army ever in the empire, helping to control everything from in northern India and Pakistan, really solidifying what I believe his grandfather Babar created. Now, once he controls this region, he has to centralize it, which is cutting up the region into different provinces, appointing a governor to those different provinces, and those governors then chop everything up. And what you start to see is a pyramid organization where he's at the top, he appoints different uh, governors, and those governors are all loyal to him, and it trickles down. Now, to lead, he chose to use tolerance in this region. I guess he was able to, because at this point his competition, the rebels, if you will, weren't well organized. So, one of the things he does to the Hindus is he doesn't tax them. Remember that term, the jizya? The jizya is the tax you had to pay in much of the Islamic world if you chose not to be a Muslim. He removed the jizya on the Hindus. He allowed them to practice their faith and didn't make them convert, didn't make them charge money for not converting. Pretty powerful stuff. He welcomed the Jains, the Sikhs, the Buddhists, the Hindus, and of course the Muslim and Christian scholars, all to come in his private chambers and actually discuss and debate the world and how it should be led and what is the meaning of life and what is the meaning of a god or gods. So you can imagine he wanted to be understanding of the people he was leading. Now, out of this, he will help create his own syncretic faith, largely influenced by his own cult of personality, but also influenced by Islam and the world he knew. So I put a quick link here, and you can see, how do you pronounce that? Dain el Ali, right here, um, is the Socratic faith he creates. We're not going to study much about it. To be honest, it only lasts through him and a little bit to his children. Like I called it earlier, it was a bit of a cult of personality. And he was leading a very far away from the Islamic world and creating, if you will, his own Islamic world. So he was able to pervert it a little bit. So not really a puritanical leader there. Now, when he is organizing this new state, the Mughal dynasty, he promotes stability by trying to deal with the different social and economic classes within. For example, he wants a fair rent to be charged to the peasants in order to have a steady revenue for the treasury and not have rebellion from within. The land that must be ruled by men who are impartial and responsible to him. He doesn't want arbitrary rule to be throughout northern India. He wants it to be centralized and through him, and any choice you make in your region um, bears witness on him. So you have to make responsible decisions. By 1650, the Mughal Empire has expanded all through the north and is heading towards the south. Now, one of the buildings that he creates is called FataSecret, Weird word, I hear ya. FataSecret. We'll be watching a little bit. You could see right here, very famously, he uses water, which is part of the Islamic faith. You have to wash your hands before you pray. He has water as being a focus in the FataSecret, and we'll watch about how that's made. Now, Akbar and the women. First of all, during Akbar, he is going to allow women to be as free from rule as possible. He encourages women to remarry. He discourages child marriages. He wants women to be a little bit older, families to be established, versus moms and dads of the older generation making all decisions for them. He is going to prohibit sati. Now, sati is that Hindu ritual where a widowed woman will commit ritual suicide on the pyre of her dead husband. A woman will practice sati for numerous reasons. One, it's supposed to help clean the soul of her husband and thus herself, helping them in their reincarnated state. Do you remember women were not going to remarry? They weren't even going to go home to their mom and dad. They were the possession of their husband's family. So that woman at best is going to be now the concubine of a brother-in-law. So sati, practiced and now by the Islamic leader Akbar, prohibited. He's even going to challenge the tradition of purdah. Purdah is when a woman covers herself um, by staying inside at all times, and except for maybe traveling with a male family member. So he's going to promote the end of purdah by promoting days where women are encouraged to go to the market, are encouraged to shop, are encouraged to be out in society. Now, let's just back up. So we got Akbar. Look at Akbar um, in what he's conquered, how he's ruled politically, how he dealt with society, how he dealt with religion, and of course, how he dealt with construction and women. So there's a lot of things for the spice chart there just for Akbar. Now, Jahangir, the paragon of stability, is going to be get his name, Jahangir, as the title of conqueror of the world, because what he does is he continues Akbar's policies, but even expanding the land that the Mughals control. Um, I think these are pretty self-explanatory. Now, this is the time period, if you look at the date up here, 1600s, where the European world is now coming to South Asia, and he's going to work with them for trades benefits. He's going to work with the Rajputs, the people that he's controlling. He's going to actually work with them respectfully, saying, these Rajputs, these Hindu Rajputs, these Hindu kings, meaning Raj, I'm going to give them little bits of power politically and economically. I'm going to infuse them, treating the Hindus fairly, not laying the jizya, respecting Jesuit missionaries. Come on. This, ladies and gentlemen, is all about tolerance. Thus, don't be surprised if on the AP test a question about Mughal tolerance is brought up. Now, Jahangir, unfortunately for himself, was a spender, was a romancer of his wife Nur Jahan, and some would say at a certain point he got overwhelmed by his rule, overwhelmed by an overly influential wife, just partying. And this is the beginning where Akbar and Jahangir are setting up later leader Aurangzeb with huge economic burdens, a gigantic bloated bureaucracy, and I'll get to that in a few minutes. Now, Shah Jahan, I hate to do this. Here's just a slide on Shah Jahan. We are going to deal with him in class. Absolutely. I have a reader on him. Shah Jahan, king of the world, he just keeps strengthening everything that we've learned about. Now, what elevates him to fame is the Taj Mahal, the Peacock throne. Now, a little thing about the Peacock throne, um, there is no evidence of the Peacock throne. Like, there's stories of it, there's visuals of it, but we don't know where the Peacock throne was. The last time we had seen it, it was being taken at the Battle of Kandahar by the Safavids. So here's just a little bit. Shah Jahan built the Taj Mahal to honor his wife. Shah Jahan built the Red Fort shown up here. Shah Jahan sat or built on the Peacock throne. The Peacock throne sitting right here had more jewels on it than that existed in the entire world. See, what was a thing about the Mughals is they had no concept of the wealth that they had compared to the rest of the known world. Just in jewels, just in cotton and other commodities, especially commodities gained through trade, they truly were um, an economic powerhouse in Asia. Now, everything falls apart. So this is 1658. Do you see that? I'm going to hit escape. 1658. Akbar comes in, Babar comes in. We are only talking about 150 years-ish of rule. Things hit a wall. And I know, and was it John Green kind of brings this all up. Aurangzeb comes in, and he seemingly is this terrible leader who does everything wrong. But let's just think about the situation he was put into. The country was spending money that it did not have, building things that weren't necessary, fighting wars with the Safavids, having to deal with the emerging gigantic influence by British European trade. The Hindu Rajputs, they're rising up, they're gathering together. Um, the Hindus needed to be taxed, and when they got out of hand, their temples needed to be destroyed. Um, I mean, I'm not saying go Aurangzeb. It's like saying go despot, go dictator. But he was put into a situation where what else are you going to do? And you know what John Green talks about? John Green talks about Aurangzeb as being really a pious religious Muslim. And I know you may not like that, um, in this day, this secular day and age, but he looks at a lot of the things that have been doing by his ancestors were doing nothing but saying to the Hindu and other world, go ahead. Islam is not the one true faith that you should be following. Go follow your own faith. So he kind of follows a more conservative model that you would find in maybe Saudi Arabia at the same time. And then all the reasons why the empire comes to get to a close. Bloated government, bloated military. They were being used to give jobs to. They're being used to give favors to. They're being used, obviously, to gather taxes, being used to build gigantic public works, being used to fight wars. I mean, it's bloated. How are you going to do this? Every time powers overexpand, they fall. Just ask Rome. Just ask the United States Manifest Destiny, the challenge of being a global dominating force. Ask the British, where's their empire today? Um, hmm. Oh, so, yeah, do you know who Bahadur Shah II is? So what starts to happen after Aurangzeb is things slowly follow, slowly dissipate, slowly weaken. As they slowly are becoming a weaker power, the British are influencing more and more and more until by 1857, the last Mughal emperor, who's already a weak leader by that point, is disposed. By that point, though, the Hindu Rajputs had already been dealing with the British one on one, and nobody was going through the Mughal emperor at that point. So, here's just a question. How did the religious complexion of the Mughal India differ from that of the other Islamic empires, meaning the Ottomans and the Safavid? What impact did the religious diversity have on the Mughals? Answer. Mughal Empire had a majority of non-Muslims, most of which were Hindu. Previous failure to amalgamate religions continued in Mughal Empire. Akbar attempted to create a new religion that would combine both Islam and other Indian traditions. Akbar's Din Ali failed, rejected by Muslims and Hindus. In reign of Aurangzeb, religious truce arranged by Akbar failed. Hindus began to lose allegiance to dynasty, contributed to the growth of regional authority, failure of the central government. So that's just an example of maybe a question could be asked that through this PowerPoint could be partially answered. We're at 20 minutes. What I did today is I took you through the Mughal Empire. What you need to now do is take the Mughal Empire, including some video and readings from class, and try to put this baby into a spice chart. Other things you might want to do when doing that spice chart is look at my Mughal Women PDF. There you go. This document that is on Moodle, Political Influence of Elite Women in the Mughal Court. A couple different documents on that. All right. Have a good one.